Long ago, in a time just beyond the edge of memory, there was a kingdom called Noctera. This was a land that had never known a sunrise. No golden sun had ever warmed its skies or painted its horizons with vibrant hues. Instead, the kingdom lived its entire life beneath a soft, silver glow. The moon was its constant guardian, and the stars shimmered brighter there than anywhere else in the world, like a blanket of scattered diamonds. The people of Noctera were clever and resilient. They learned to read by the gentle light of the stars, their pages illuminated by distant constellations. They farmed their fields according to the cycles of the moon, planting and harvesting under its watchful gaze. Their festivals and celebrations were held beneath skies filled with the majestic dance of the cosmos. Yet, even with all this beauty, a quiet question echoed deep in their hearts, a whispered wonder. What would sunlight feel like? At the very edge of the kingdom, in a tall, lonely tower overlooking the vast, dark sea, lived a young girl named Leora. Each and every night, it was her solemn duty to climb the spiraling stone steps of the lighthouse and light its great flame. This beacon was a guiding light, a single point of hope for any travelers brave enough to cross the endless, inky waters that surrounded Noctera. Though Leora, like everyone else, had never seen the sun, she dreamed of it often. She carried its image in her heart, a vision she had never witnessed with her own eyes. In her dreams, the world transformed. The sky would shift from silver and black to a brilliant, impossible gold. Flowers, which in Noctera were pale and closed, would open their petals wide, drinking in a light she could only imagine, and a gentle, pervasive warmth would wrap the entire world like a soft, comforting blanket. One evening, as she sat with her grandmother, she asked softly, "Grandmother, did the sun ever truly exist?" Her grandmother looked into the crackling fire, her eyes distant. "It once watched over Noctera, my dear," she said. "Its light was our greatest treasure. But when the people forgot how to care for one another, when their hearts turned cold and selfish, its light faded away." That very night, after her grandmother's story had settled deep in her soul, something strange and magical happened. As Leora tended to the lighthouse flame, it seemed to lean towards her, and then, a voice whispered from its very core. A soft, echoing sound that was not quite a voice, but more like a thought planted directly in her mind. It said, "Find me." Before her astonished eyes, the flame pulsed, then lifted itself from the wick. It rose into the air, shimmering, and then burst into 1,000 tiny, glowing sparks. These sparks didn't fade away. Instead, they formed a shimmering, golden path that stretched out from the lighthouse door, leading away from the kingdom and into the unknown darkness beyond the walls. A flicker of fear touched Leora's heart, but it was quickly replaced by a wave of hope, strong and pure. With her cloak wrapped tightly around her, she stepped out of the lighthouse and began to follow the trail of light. Her journey took her through silver forests, where the leaves on the trees shimmered like polished glass and tinkled softly in the breeze. She crossed quiet, sleeping rivers that perfectly reflected the star-dusted sky above, making it feel as though she were walking between two heavens. Finally, the path led her down into a deep, silent valley, where the darkness felt heavy and ancient, pressing in from all sides. At the very center of this valley stood a great stone door, so old it seemed to have grown from the earth itself. Carved into its surface were ancient words that seemed to glow faintly with their own inner light. They read, "Only a true light may enter." Leora knew she carried no torch, no fire, but she remembered her grandmother's words. She placed her hand gently on the cold stone. "I don't carry fire," she said, her voice steady and clear. "I carry hope." With a low, grinding hum that seemed to shake the very ground, the massive stone door rumbled open. Inside, it was not dark. Floating in the center of the hidden chamber was a small, dim golden orb. It was trembling, its light, weak and tired, like the last ember of a dying fire. Leora gasped, her heart aching at the sight. In a whisper, she said, "The sun." A soft, weary voice answered her from the orb. "I was once bright," the sun sighed. "I was once strong. But when the hearts of the people grew cold, so did my light." Leora stepped closer, her heart filled with a profound sense of purpose. "What do you need?" she asked. "What can I do to help you shine again?" The sun pulsed faintly. "Not power, not flame. I need kindness." Carefully, reverently, Leora cupped the fragile, lukewarm sun in her hands and began her journey back to Nox. As she walked, she looked for every opportunity to share the hope she carried. She saw a baker struggling to lift a heavy tray of moon-dusted bread and offered her strength to help him. She found a lonely guard standing watch on the kingdom wall and stayed to listen to his stories. Sharing a moment of connection, she helped two old neighbors who had been quarreling for years over a forgotten argument to finally find the words to forgive each other. With every single act of kindness, no matter how small, something miraculous happened. The sun in her hands grew a little warmer, its light grew a little brighter, and as she walked through the streets of Noctara, her light seemed to be contagious. Lights began to appear in windows as people lit candles to welcome each other. The sound of laughter, long absent from the quiet streets, began to bubble up and echo through the city. People began to reach out their hands to help, instead of turning away. The coldness that had gripped the kingdom for so long was beginning to melt. A soft golden line appeared on the eastern horizon. It was a color no one had ever seen. For the first time in Noctra's long history, the sun rose. A brilliant, gentle warmth spilled across the kingdom. Flowers that had been pale and sleeping bloomed into a riot of red, yellow, and blue. The people of Noctara poured out of their homes, gazing in wonder at the sky. They shielded their eyes, not used to such brightness, but they were smiling, tears of pure joy streaming down their faces. Leora stood upon a high hill, the golden light wrapping around her like a warm embrace, the tiny sun in her hands now a blazing star in the sky. From that day forward, Noctara knew both the gentle silver of night and the warm gold of day. But more importantly, the people never forgot the truth Leora had shown them. A kingdom does not lose its sun because of darkness, it loses it when kindness fades. And so each evening, as the sun set gently, and the moon and stars returned to their familiar watch, the people of Noctara would promise to care for one another, to keep the light of kindness burning brightly in their hearts, ensuring that their sun would never ever leave again. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed our story, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales to fill your world with wonder.